When we talk about powerful characters in the Metroid universe, our minds of course go to the likes of Samus Aran and Ravenbeak. But how many of you considered Kraid a formidable foe in the realm of scaling? Well, that all changes today, for he might not be remembered as one of the great powerhouses in Metroid, but he is still an entity to be feared and respected. So without further ado, let's look at how powerful is Kraid. Kraid's AP is the statistic that changes the most between the games, so let's start with his first appearance in Metroid 1-0 mission. How strong was he then? Well, in the Metroid manga rendition of the fight, which gives more context to the events of that game, we see Kraid is indeed completely impervious to Samus' attacks anywhere on his body except his mouth. And more impressively, the battle between the two were so close that whilst Kraid was defeated, Samus was so beat up she collapsed from her wounds soon after. Whilst impressive, how strong was Samus at the time? Well, for AP we know for a fact that Samus is at least city level, as Samus and the baseline humans of K12 managed to tank this forest obliterating nuke the pirates dropped on them. Mother Brain also compares his skin to an anti-optical shield, and what's more, he can withstand the low-end 960 times gravity of planet Zebes, which thanks to my friend Tetra Galaxy Telecast can be as high as 1060 times Earth's gravity. Things get far more interesting once we jump forward 2 years to Super Metroid. By this time, Samus is beyond her Metroid Prime 2 self, where she defeats Dark Samus, and a not just weakened, but a powderized Dark Samus tanks the collapse of the Dark Aether universe, in which universes in Metroid are infinitely large. Super Metroid Kraid wouldn't just beat the shit out of Dark Samus, but would absolutely smoke her for one reason: power cliffing. If you're familiar with this channel, you know everything in Metroid gets much stronger over time, and the series is generous enough to give us 2 metrics. We know that any individual amp Samus Aran gets, she gets 5 times stronger. We also know that in any given week on the job, Samus is getting 500 times stronger, as that is the gap between the prototype Uton robot and the finalized Integra version. Given a 1 HP Dark Samus tanks 0 damage from an infinite universe collapsing on top of her, let's assume she can tank 3 universes. Multiplying that by 500 for every game until Super Metroid, that being Metroid Prime 3, Metroid Federation Force, Metroid 2, and of course Super Metroid, that means the Samus Kraid battles against in Super Metroid is capable of busting 187.5 billion universes. In other words, is high multiversal. Notably, Kraid has evolved from fighting the basic Power Suit Samus to fighting Various Suit Samus. From Super Metroid to Metroid Dread, we know 8 to 9 years have passed, given Fusion is 8 years later. Even if you add another 500 times for 7 years, removing a year for Other M, given Samus was in a depressive state that halted her growth, as a complete low end, we would be getting into the octillions of universes. And remember, Samus is never able to harm any other part of him save his mouth. Not bad for an overgrown reptile. With AP and durability out of the way, the easier matter to deal with is both speed and dimensionality, as they go hand in hand. While Zero Mission doesn't give anything more than light speed due to the scaling to the lasers that the space pirates fire, our saving grace comes by way of Metroid Prime 1. We learn that the Chozo in their afterlife are beyond the veils of time and space, which, if you've been on this channel, is not only textbook 5D, that is textbook immeasurable speed. As we read, not only are the space pirates capable of fighting these ghosts, but the Phazon itself. Yes, that immobile rock over there, the Phazon, was responsible for dragging the souls of the Chozo down back to the mortal plane. So given that Kraid upscales to a literal rock, this would indeed make him immeasurable speed, 5th dimensional, and a big threat. Oh, and just to add this, since I didn't know where to put this, but Kraid has some unseen amounts of regeneration, as we not only see him explode and turn into items, which means Samus converted his energy into items, one of her powers, but given we know Samus attacks the soul itself, Kraid's got some godly regen right there. But that was all for today. Did I impress you with Kraid's scaling? Let me know down in the comments below, but until then, be safe, be wise, and please pray for a true peace in space.